What's up, Team Tobias? What's up, San Francisco, home of one Ann Rose, who is here with me for her show, Quelling Your Query Conundrum. And joining us again is special guest Jackie Lipton.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Get a round of applause for Jackie.
I like that. All right, let's get cracking.
We should. I probably should have set up this computer already so I could see all the things before we get started. So,
Ann Rose.
sometimes I just gotta. I have a query though. I have a query ready, and and we haven't done this one.
Did you read it before?
No, I just pulled it up. So.
Okay.
We're just gonna read it blind, and I just know that this is not one that we have done before. So that is good, and we're just gonna jump right into it. So
Before we do,
okay.
I want everyone to notice that the way you have your headphones on sort of makes you look like an elf.
Excellent.
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
See? Thank you. Okay, let's roll.
What's wrong with elfishness?
Nothing. I just wanted to point it out.
Should I fix it?
No, it looks fine. Be serious, Ann. Let's go. Woo!
Be serious. No, seriously. Okay. All right. Dear Ann Rose, I am submitting to you because in accordance with your MSWL, I have a cozy fantasy that features witches, magic, and LGBTQ romance. Title: a 90,000 word coming of age story for adult audiences with YA crossover potential, told through dual POVs. One sapphic. It is a romantasy with historical elements based in a Pacific Northwestern inspired magical realism setting for readers of Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Haro and Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman, with the elusive inclusion of magic and cozy seasonal atmosphere found in Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. I really need to get my eyes checked. Okay, fabulous. That was the opening paragraph. Let's go on. Though close in age, Ella and Ivy's views of love couldn't be more different. While Ella is open to every opportunity love presents, her sister Ivy avoids its entanglements at all costs until on Ella's 18th birthday, they discover their family legacy of love magic. From their older sister Camilla, they learn that direct practice of witchcraft is banned in favor of indirect magic that can be concealed, keeping them and the secret of its existence safe. A secret that becomes harder to keep at Northwood boarding school when they develop abilities allowing them to sense love for everyone except for themselves. Their own encounters with love become complicated as they test the boundaries of revealing the secret. Ella with a boy from the boys' school in her garden, and Ivy against her better judgment as she keeps running into the new girl. When Ella accidentally reveals her ability, helping a broken-hearted girl, she and Ivy capture the attention of the entire school as every girl begs them for their true love's identity. But a witch hunt is incited when Ivy and Ella are caught indirectly practicing magic, and they flee the school to live with Camilla and her partner Lillian. A year later, upon turning 20, they attend a finishing school for indirect magic and are immersed into a world of women with their own family bloodlines of magic. Rumors swirl of secret societies within the school and women illegally practicing real witchcraft, which Ivy and Ella become swept up in. But beyond the threat of exposure lies a possibility of finding out what the magic they've been conditioned against is truly capable of. And then there is a bio paragraph that talks about their connection to the work and the title again, which I will not read. And then they say, thank you for your consideration and the name of the author. Whew. I'm going to take a drink now.
Okay.
That was a long one.
Yes. Can I ask a question while you take a drink? Because I know you're not going to read the bio paragraph. Is there mention of connection to the LGBT community, just out of interest?
Or is it the witch community?
Cool. Thank you.
Oh.
And I should have asked. I should have asked the Wiccan.
It could be both for sure. Yep. So yes, there's personal connections to the context of the story. Yes. All right. So should we start at the beginning and then go from there?
Yeah.
like we normally do. We'll break it down.
Sure.
I might not read the paragraph again, but we'll at least read the first one. So I'm submitting to you because, in accordance with your manuscript wish list, I have a cozy fantasy that features witches, magic, and the LGBTQ romance. Title: a 90,000 word coming of age story for adult audiences with YA crossover potential, told through dual POVs, one sapphic. It is a romantasy with historical elements based in the Pacific Northwest inspired magical realism setting for readers of Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Haro and Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman, with the elusive elusive inclusion of magic and cozy seasonal atmosphere found in Guarded Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. There we go. That is the opening paragraph.
So there's a lot of genres and comps in there, and there's literally, I heard cozy like 3 times, and I'm like, so is it cozy? I just want to make sure it's cozy.
Just want to make sure it's cozy.
Yeah.
I think it is cozy. It is a cozy fantasy.
Okay.
That is what it is called.
And I know people say you need comps, but you don't need 10 comps, and you don't need to give us a paragraph how that comp plays in, unless you think we do.
I don't mind either way. I'm not super picky about it. I think getting specific about why they're comps can be helpful sometimes, especially when, there's books that we like and don't like, right? And so there's a particular romance novel. It's not my favorite, and a lot of people usually comp to it. So if they comp to it and tell me why specifically it's like that book, I'm generally like, oh, okay, I could get behind that. But if it's just like that book that's not really my favorite, I'm like, already giving it kind of the side eye.
And I actually think too, with fantasy, there's so many like strands, and people are so, I am particular about which, rabbit holes in fantasy I like to read. So I wonder if fantasy in particular is one of those genres where it's helpful to do that maybe more than some other genres.
Yeah.
I agree with you too. I just feel, as a nitpicker in this particular situation, that the comps felt long and overcomplicated to the point that I didn't understand what the hell they were comping to.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. And they do say cozy a few times. I do notice that.
Thank
but
you.
I'm not sure if the story itself is cozy. I don't know.
It didn't sound. It didn't sound
feel like a cozy story, which is okay. It's okay if it's not a cozy story. It sounds like an interesting story, but I'm not sure from this particular blurb if I would call this blurb a feeling of coziness.
Is it okay to call it cozy 4, 5, 6 times if it isn't cozy?
Well, I don't think you should set up reader expectations that it is if it isn't, but perhaps it is a cozy story. It's just not coming through in the pitch as cozy.
Yeah, I think that's something the author has to think about, because if you are going to use a very specific word that means something in the industry, then you need to think about why you're using it and not just throw it in because it's a cool word. And I have no idea if this is cozy or not. So I agree with what you're saying.
We are wordsmiths, and words have meaning. Specific words. If I say blonde, I better see a blonde. I better not see a redhead, because that's not blonde.
Is he talking about us, Jackie? I think he's talking about us.
Quite possibly, but it's really hilarious because we were just looking at a book cover that the design team sent us for one of my clients' books with a red-headed woman on the cover, and the author said, they're white blondes, and it was exactly that. And they're like, oh, we can change that. We can change your hair color.
That's pretty funny. It's kind of like having a giant spider on your cover when there's like no giant spiders in your book.
We will ignore that comment and keep moving on. All right.
No. I wanted to say something. Can I be really nitpicky?
Uh-huh.
Yes,
because we are talking about words, and I'm going to talk about grammar. I think the first sentence is grammatically incorrect. And while it would not stop me from reading the query, it is the first sentence, and we are wordsmiths. And I think I am sending this to you in accordance with your manuscript. I mean, wouldn't it be, I noticed in your manuscript wish list you're interested in blah, blah, blah. I thought you might be interested in this. It just didn't sound grammatically correct.
It doesn't cozy with you?
It doesn't cozy with me, no.
It does not cozy with Jackie. It didn't bother
Very
me.
nitpicky. Very
I
nitpicky.
am so not nitpicky when it comes to that. I didn't really care. So it was fine for me. No big
And
deal.
now I'll have everyone querying me, writing follow-up notes saying, I noticed there was a grammatical error in my query. And it's like, I'm not really that bad, but I just noticed it.
But we're here to help critique this particular work. And so if we can do anything to help tighten it up in any way, we're just going to point it out. And if you sent it out already like that, I don't think it's a big deal. Don't
No.
worry about it at all. We're just going to give you all of the things.
It's a huge deal, and it's going to
No.
ruin your chances.
It's
No, I'm
absolutely
kidding.
Don't
I'm
send it to
kidding. I'm
Lang.
kidding. I don't want to say that. I'm totally kidding.
He might even cut that out before he even puts this on air. But no, he's joking. That is not a true statement. All right, so we'll go through this, but I'm gonna break this down just a little bit more while we go through the meat of the paragraph. So let's kind of go through here. So, though close in age, Ella and Ivy's views of love couldn't be more different. While Ella is open to every opportunity love presents, her sister Ivy avoids entanglements at all cost. Until on Ella's 18th birthday, they discover their family legacy of love magic from their older sister Camilla. They learn that direct practice of witchcraft is banned in favor of indirect magic, and that can be concealed, keeping them and the secret of his existence safe. A secret. Okay. Safe, period. All right, we'll stop right there. So there's a lot of backstory in that.
And I'm so confused by how does age matter in love magic. That feels like a odd way to say it, because when you say love magic, I automatically go to love making because it's just love magic. I mean, I don't know.
Love without having sex, Lane. Did you not know that?
Yeah, I didn't say sex. You said sex. I said love making. But love magic, I mean, what is love magic? Magic to make someone fall in love with you? That's bad.
I think so, but from the query, that's what it. No, it's magic to tell you who your true love is. Isn't that what the query says?
Correct.
I think I think magic should be going before love.
Magic love?
Or the magic of love.
But it's not the magic of love. It's
Yes.
love magic.
Yes, it's a different thing.
It's a different thing.
Well, it's not. They're not shooting rays of love at people, are they?
They may
I mean,
be. They
I
may be.
think the wording of it, the sound, like love magic, makes me think of love making. And what is love magic?
I guess what you're having a trouble with is understanding what the concept of love magic is.
Yeah,
so
like if you say,
maybe instead of focusing so much on, it's the birthday and they learn this practice, like what is the practice? Like maybe a definition of what the practice of love magic is could be beneficial here, so we can kind of get a better understanding of what this story is.
And I get using the phraseology because you say fire magic, but when you say fire magic, you obviously just know what that is. Magic of fire. But the magic of love,
it's abstract.
What the hell is that?
I get you. Go ahead,
It's
Jackie.
like the magic of hope. You don't know what hope is.
And I was going to say, actually, that depending on what, how love magic works and what it is, that actually might be the clue into why the author describes it as cozy, because, and we'll get to the last paragraph of the description shortly, but there did seem to be very cute moments with people chasing the girls around, asking them about who they would fall in love with. And that kind of has a cozy feel, but a lot of the rest of it doesn't. So I was also going to say, and I meant to say this in the last paragraph, this is described as adults with YA crossover potential. The heroines are a teen. They're going to boarding school, but I don't know if that's the last year of high school or the first year of what we would call college, and where I grew up would call university. And that's, to me, I think that needs clarification, because they are quite distinct. I know the podcast, I missed this week's regular podcast when we were talking about YA versus new adult, whatever. So maybe listen to that podcast. But, I also saw the phrase coming of age, or heard the phrase coming of age. And it's like, those are things that I tend to see in queries a lot when the author isn't quite clear where they're placing something in the market. Like, who is your audience? Who is your main audience and why? So are these school girls just finishing high school? Are they going into college? There's a finishing school later on. How old are they? You know, so that's where I'm confused.
I think that you bring up a good point and something we didn't talk about in the above paragraph, which was it is a coming of age story for an adult audience with YA crossover potential is what it said. But I think that kind of muddies the waters because because you're right, Jackie, like 18-year-old, like generally like this whole first paragraph feels like a very YA novel.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It felt very YA and adult. I mean, as an adult who reads adult, I wouldn't read this as an adult book.
Yeah, it doesn't sound. I was going to ask too, and you may not want to divulge this on the air, so just say no. Do you have any sense that the author is perhaps British?
Oh, I have no idea.
Because the reason I ask that is I think the categories work differently in the UK. And I often see this kind of market description from British authors trying to cross over into North America. I myself am not British, I'm Australian. I don't know what we do in Australia. We just get American and English books, so whatever. But if you are listening to us from across the pond, this may be a useful discussion for you to hear because I do think there are these differences.
And now I'm curious about the difference. What does adult mean in England, the British?
I think YA is more. I don't think it's what adult means. I think YA is broader. Like what they consider the children's market, I think is a bit longer in terms of age.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Okay. So, and I think too that this last sentence, like they learn that direct practice of witchcraft is banned in favor of indirect magic that can be concealed, keeping them and the secret of its existence. Like it gets a little too complicated for me.
Yeah.
So I think like we're digging into the weeds maybe just a little bit too much here.
What is indirect magic?
I don't know what the difference between direct and indirect magic is, and how is love magic a direct magic or an indirect magic? I don't know. So that's like, I think this is why I think we're getting too in the weeds when we start doing all of those things. But we're gonna a secret that becomes harder to keep at Northwood Burning School when they develop abilities allowing them to sense love for everyone except for themselves. Their own encounters with love become complicated as they test the boundaries of revealing the secret. Ella with a boy from the boys' school in her garden, and Ivy against her better judgment as she keeps running into the new girl. When Ella accidentally reveals her ability helping a broken-hearted girl, she and Ivy capture the attention of the entire school as every girl begs them for their true love's identity. But a witch hunt is incited when Ivy and Ella are caught indirectly practicing magic, and they flee the school to live with Camilla and her partner Lillian. This, to me, again, this is all feeling like backstory to the bigger story that we're trying to tell. Like, I'm not even, this feels like a disjointed thing. So all of this stuff has happened and then they leave. So what is where goals, obstacles, state? Like, it's so, like, this feels like all backstory to a larger story that the author wants to tell, but this all is also crammed into one book.
I feel like we should probably start at the year after, because a year later feels like you said, like we just had a whole big backstory, and who cares because we're starting a year later when all the fun starts.
Right. So I think that like everything above there feels like that's all the backstory for these characters, all the stuff that they've been through in their backstory and their history. But that's not what this book is about. This book is about they attend finishing school a year later upon turning 20. They attend a finishing school for indirect magic and are immersed in a world of women with their own family bloodlines of magic. Still don't know what that means. Rumors swirl of secret societies within the school and women illegally practicing real witchcraft, which Ivy and Ella become swept up in. Again, still don't understand what that means. But beyond the threat of exposing lies, the possibility of finding out what the magic they've been cautioned against is truly capable of. I don't know what this book is about.
Yeah.
Cozy magic?
I don't know. Like, it sounds like it's probably a really interesting story, very intriguing, but I don't understand what the goals, obstacles, and stakes are. I don't really know what's at stake for these women. I would love to know. I think that there's very obviously tones of romance in the story, love magic and this, and I love all of that. But I don't know what the plot is.
And I would add to that, I agree with you. And I mean, I think this is an example of too much and not enough. You know, there's a lot of detail, but there's not really what is the story. And I think if this is a newer author, you also tend to have the more points of view you include in your debut work, every point of view is almost its whole narrative arc, and you make it much more complicated for yourself. And then you come to write the query and it becomes very complicated. So I always say to people, I have nothing against stories with multiple points of view or third person limited with lots of characters. But I think when you're early on in your career, it's very hard to do well. And I'm kind of seeing that here, that there's sort of a lot of characters that we're trying to sort of shoehorn into this query, but we're losing the wood for the trees.
Yes, I agree. If you're writing a dual point of view, generally speaking, we want to know what the goals, obstacles, and stakes are for each of those characters, because they should have their own stories and their own goals, obstacles, and stakes. So we're kind of missing all of that. We're getting a lot of background, we're getting a lot of backstory, we're getting a lot of like little things, but we're not really seeing, like Jackie said, we're not seeing the forest through the trees. Lane, your lights were flickering. Is someone casting love magic on you?
Oh no.
Oh yeah, love magic. All the way. I'm totally on board with all of you, because you said it much better than I can, other than like what's indirect magic, what's direct magic. I mean, I can make up in my head what it would be for me, but that doesn't mean what it is.
Right. I think this query would really service well by having people, even people who are not authors, right? Just handing it over to someone and say, hey, can you read this and tell me if you understand what this book is about? And if your coworker, who maybe he's never read a book in their life, reads it and says, I have no idea, we won't know either. That's pretty much, even though we read books for a living, if they can't understand it, we probably can't understand it either. We're reading hundreds of queries a week, a lot of times. So we're not going to sit here and try to like dig through it without, we just don't have the time. So, I mean, that's the harshness of all of this. So this would definitely benefit from getting some people who've never read the book, you've never talked to about the book, hand them over this little blurb and say, does this make sense? And if they say no, back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And it felt very long. I know I say that about a lot of queries, probably, but I mean, it felt over a page. And I always try to, when I send quote unquote queries, submit to editors, I try to keep it short and succinct, because I know my attention span is, hey, there's a squirrel, hey, a fleck of dust. So if there's any reason to avoid reading it, I take it, and it's not like intentional. It's just you want something that's going to keep our attention, not go into, oh, their ages are different, but they see different sides of love. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Does it matter how old they are? If it doesn't further the plot or the story, get rid of it.
Lane is really good at condensing things, about really getting to like the heart of what a story is and getting that out in a pitch. Like if there is someone who's it can axe words like nobody else, that's your guy. But it's definitely a skill that is learned. So so don't feel too bad if you can't do that, because a lot of us can't do that. We're still working on it.
Yep.
That's why we're glad we have Lane, because we can just send it to him and then he axes all the words.
Totally.
Yay.
So, but he makes a good point, which is if it doesn't help you further the story, then it probably doesn't have to be on the page. And if you find yourself having to explain something, then maybe it doesn't go on the page either. So if it's not on the page, you don't have to explain it.
And I think I'd add to a comment Anne made earlier about, if your beta reader, your friends can't understand what the book is about from the pitch, we can't either. I think what often happens is that authors think agents have some kind of magic power to sort of understand what they mean. And that is often where those industry phrases come in, like cozy and coming of age. And I've often found people throw those into pitches where the pitch doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think the thought process for the authors is sometimes, oh, well, this shorthand will immediately tell the agent what I mean. And it's like, no, because if the rest of your explanation doesn't make sense, then that's actually more confusing. It's not a shorthand to tell me what you're doing. It's actually what Lane said before. Now you've put cozy in a story that doesn't sound like a cozy. So think about very carefully about those words, because I do think the thought process is sometimes, well, the guy at the desk next to me won't understand it, but an agent will understand it. It's like, no, we won't.
No, we probably understand it less. We're just people. I just want to, give me a lazy boy.
Oh, yeah.
Lazy boy.
Oh, my brother and sister-in-law got this new recliner massage chair. And when I went over, I was like, yeah, I think I might steal this or move in. It was the most magical thing. And now I've been looking for a shower head to mimic it, and I've derailed us. But I'm telling you, this...
You're inviting us all over to your brother, sister-in-law, brother-in-law's house.
Use the massage chair.
The massage chair.
It massages your legs, your calves, your feet. It's magical. It's love magic. That's love magic.
It's chair love magic.
Yes. Sounds like some serious love magic.
Yes,
I'm a little jealous because I could really use that. So,
as you should be.
Okay, so at the end of the day, for me, because this was addressed to me, so you told me it was a cozy fantasy featuring witches, magic, and an LGBTQ romance. So regardless of all the things that we've said, I would still look at these pages, because those things, I know, Lane, you're going to shake your head at me, but I would, because I love those things. And so I would want to see what you're doing with this. So it doesn't tell me anything about your story. I would 100% read your synopsis, because I do ask for a synopsis. And so I would probably even read that first to get a better understanding of what you're trying to do with this story. I would read the synopsis, which, to be clear, because I think I did an AMA on Twitter recently, and someone did not understand there's a difference between a query and a synopsis. A synopsis will tell you the entire story arc from beginning to end with spoilers. The query is just like the back cover blurb. So two different things. Author, you did a great job at an attempt here. I mean, I would still look at I would definitely read the synopsis. I would look at the pages. I am mildly concerned you're starting in the wrong place, but I think you might have said that is it dual timelines? Told through dual POV. No, it's just dual POV. So I'm not exactly sure the structure of this story. So I'm a little nervous about that for you, but I would still look at it. So there you go. I don't know if this has helped you or not, but those are my last takes. Anyone else have last takes before we take this off?
I do. I want to tell people we're going to have our monthly AMA on 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday, July 31st. I will put a link in the description, and take us away.
Well, that is it for another episode of Quelling Your Query Conundrums here on The Literary Lens with Lane Haymont and Jackie Lipton, our special guest today. Hopefully she'll be joining us more. We love having her here.
Thank you.
So if you have a query that you're like, oh my gosh, I have a conundrum about, send it to us and we will go through it and tell you all the things, and hopefully it'll help you out in the end. We'd also love to hear your comments about what cozy fantasy is, what new adult is from maybe our past conversations, and anything else you want to add in the comments. So subscribe, leave us a comment, and there's that love magic again coming for Lane, and we will see you next time on The Literary Lens.